let's have a look ahead to the weekend, ladies and gents. And of course, we'll kick things off with our game of the weekend. And it's El Sackico. It's Luton Town v Hull City at Kenilworth Road on Saturday afternoon. Luton are the favourites to win this one with SBK at evens. A Hull win is 5-2. The draw is also 5-2. It's El Sackico, Justin, but it's also Player X Derby. Who is Player X in this circumstance?
Curtis Davis, Ryan.
Yes, it is Curtis Davis. That is exactly who I've got written down. I was looking at the options for players who have played for both Luton and Hull. Not many who stand out, but Curtis Davis, one of those who's got quite a few derbies to his name, hasn't he? But he's the obvious one with these two, I think. Anyway, it is, of course, El Sackico, because this is meeting between two managers who were in serious danger of being sacked over this past international break, but they've both managed to survive another day. For how much longer, though? We'll start with Luton, Justin. Last time we saw them, they got a proper shafting at Middlesbrough. Rob Edwards looked like a beaten man that day, but it's easy to forget Luton did have some decent showings prior to that. The issue is with Luton this season is they've often been a case of one step forward, two steps backwards.
That's almost quite polite and maybe a little bit more forgiving for Luton. It feels like two steps backwards, or maybe three or four. They win. They win games. They don't play blisteringly well, Watford game aside. And then the performances after have just been so unconvincing, achingly so, in fact. A good example of this is the hard-fought grind of winning against Cardiff right before the disaster that was Borough away. It was quite a horrific showing in against Middlesbrough. And I think that inability to develop any form, any consistency, any momentum has been a key variable in holding Luton back. Another example is beating Watford 3-0. Good performance despite defeat against Sunderland, then a complete collapse against Coventry. This team has no confidence whatsoever, it makes this El Sackico all the more interesting, because it's a case of what could go wrong a lot, but what could go right as well. That's really a question I'm asking myself. What could go right in this game for either side? There's not been any convincing argument for either of these teams.
Yeah, with Luton, it's quite unpredictable what Luton's side are going to turn up. And more often than not, because of the position where they are in the table, it's not been a good side. But we have seen glimmers of a decent side here. It's not been going very well recently. It's also not been going very well for Hull City, who are without a win in 7. Tim Volter has been under huge pressure, despite only being in the job less than 6 months. And the reason he's under pressure is not just because of results, but also because of Hull fans not being too impressed with the football on offer for them. He was serenaded in Hull's last away game by fans singing, "Tim Volter, your football is shite." So they don't seem very impressed, Justin, from the sounds of it.
You're absolutely right. It feels like the wheels fell off in that Norwich defeat, losing 4-0 at Carrow Road a couple of months ago. They've put in okay performances, mainly against Derby and Portsmouth, but I think have very much lacked the quality to get ahead, especially in those games. And I think that tells me there are essences there of this Tim Volter team, but it needs fine-tuning, and that's both style of play and personnel as well. Is it hard to say the football is shit/shite? Maybe. But you can understand where the Hull fans are coming from. A lot of ambition with Akonila Carly, with the signings over the past couple of seasons. Expectation has most definitely risen. But I think the club has yet to really demonstrate a convincing argument that they're ready to do battle for the playoffs. They had skirmishes last season under Liam Rosenior. And maybe a lot of people would have expected big changes and an improvement from last season after sacking Liam Rosenior, but that's not come, and that's where I think the frustration is coming from. I think Tim Volter's pretty much been the fall guy of all these things that have come together, and the football might still be shit, but I think the finger's very much being pointed at him, fairly unfairly. That's for everyone else to decide.
Well, the age-old thing is that you've got owners who are making the decisions about things at the club, but it's the manager who's the one who's going out to the press every single week and having to answer the questions that are put to him, aren't they? Whereas the owner, even though a lot of the things that have gone wrong at Hull in the past few months should really be aimed at him, but he's not coming out to speak to the press every single week. Hull fans won't thank me for saying this, but I think Tim Volter has been dealt a tough hand, because the amount of squad turnover in the summer was ridiculous, especially for a new manager with no experience of this country or this league. And then the subsequent issues he's had to deal with, like the season-ending injuries to Mohamed Baloumi and Liam Miller, two players who cost a combined £7 million over the summer. They're just gone from the picture. And then you've got the potential ban for Oscar Zambrano, young midfielder who has allegedly tested positive for a drugs test. You know, it's not going very well for Hull, and it's not really gone well for Tim Volter either, hence why I think he's been dealt a tough hand. Is he actually a good manager? I don't know. Will those issues that I mentioned there stop him being sacked if results don't improve soon? Probably not. But I do feel a bit sorry for him in a way, I've got to say. Here's a question for you, Justin. Who needs a win more in this one? Both, it's got to be said, hanging on by a thread. But talk to me through the potential outcomes of this game.
Well, I think if I was to throw a name at you, it would be Rob Edwards. Because I think if Luton lose this, then they are very much cut adrift from any semblance of a promotion push that they had. I think this was very much the last chance saloon, and you've got to get this run of games going with momentum. I've said it season after season, so if you're a long-time listener, you've probably heard me say it. Now is the time to start to build momentum and consistency. You know, the first portion of the season before the final international break is very stop-start, and it's very hard to gather that. But now you've got until March to get going. And you've got a big chunk of games to come in. So I think if Luton lose this and Rob Edwards lose this, not only could Rob Edwards lose his job, but Luton have absolutely zero chance of maybe even flirting with the top half of top six push. And as well as that, there's the personal aspect as well. You know, Rob Edwards has got a big legacy at Luton. He's got an emotional attachment. I think Tim Volter doesn't. I think with the turnover at Hull, the expectation is lower, whereas the expectation at Luton is high, is much greater. So I think Luton have got a lot more to lose should they come away with this game with a defeat. So yeah, I'm going to say Rob Edwards. Rob Edwards needs this win desperately.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if either of them were sacked after losing this one. It's got to be said. If Hull win, then Rob Edwards' position is really getting to the stage where it's completely untenable. And you might be right, Justin. Maybe we'll have a conversation at the weekend, depending on what the result is, as whether this is actually tarnishing Rob Edwards' legacy at Luton. But then on the flip side, it's really quite hard to know what the Hull hierarchy are thinking with this game. Would a loss here be the straw that breaks the camel's back? I think whatever the case, that camel's back is looking a bit frail anyway, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it's just a weird scenario with Tim Volter, because I think, you know, Akun Ilakali, the owner, has been relatively supportive of him in the media. You know, he has made some fairly positive noises, but I think with the potential for the kickback from Hull fans, that could sway Ilakali. And the Tancaster left, didn't he, recently from Hull? I'm sure that could have It was Ilakali's right-hand man. He left not too long ago, didn't he? Exactly. So there might be, I wouldn't say unrest upstairs, but you know, a sense of change coming because the club hasn't been going in the direction it needs to from a footballing perspective, despite a lot of investment. So I think Tim Volter could be the first or second fall guy behind Tancaster, if you like, to a slightly different age. So it's I think Hull are such a weird case because of the amount of turnover they've gone through, and things not quite landing the way they expected. But as I say, I think Rob Edwards has got a lot more to lose from this game than Tim Volter. You know, both could lose their jobs, but at the same time, I think Tim Volter's maybe slightly safer, maybe just a bit.
Maybe just marginally. It is worth mentioning that these two are level on 15 points, just to make that win even more valuable for whoever gets it. And because it's so blooming tight down there, they could jump up as high as 14th with a win, either of these two. Meanwhile, the loser could very well find themselves in the bottom three on Saturday night. It's all to play for, ladies and gents. Now it's time for our second tier bet builder with SBK. And this week, we want to tell you about SBK's offer to help you nail your bet builder. How annoying is it, Justin, when the player you need for the final leg of your bet builder gets subbed off? Looking at you, Mr. Corberan. Well, fear not, because with SBK's Fresh Legs promotion, all is not lost. Fresh Legs means that when your player gets subbed, the bet carries over to the player coming on. So whether you need a shot on target, a yellow card or a goal, Fresh Legs keeps you in the bloody game. And SBK are the only bookmaker offering this on every championship game this season. meaning there really is no better place to bet on the second tier. So why not sign up for SBK and join the thousands of people taking advantage already of fresh legs every weekend. You'll be kicking yourself if you don't, with some tired legs, I suppose. So every Friday, we're making our own bet builder with 4 selections, all relating to our game of the week. So that's 2 for Justin and 2 for me. Justin, kick us off. What is the first selection for our bet builder?
I've gone with both teams to score. I think that's a pretty obvious one, because both teams are a bit shit, to be really, really blunt. Hull have actually scored in all but 6 games this season, which is probably quite a lot. So maybe a pointless stat. But Luton have, on a similar vein, have scored in all but 3 games this season. So I think in that sense, you'd back both teams to score in this game. As well as that, Luton have conceded the second most goals in the league. Hull not so bad, but they've still got a very leaky back line. And I think if maybe an ounce of desperation creeps in from both managers needing 3 points, they might open themselves up a little bit, especially a Tim Walter Hull side who can be very naive on defending transitions, whereas Hull can be very quick. So I've gone with both teams to score here.
Yeah, I think both teams to score makes sense. Justin, you've got Hull have seen both teams to score in 4 of the last 5 games. Luton have also seen both teams score in 4 of their last 5 games. I mean, Hull have only kept 1 clean sheet all season, and Luton, they're not much better. They've kept 4 clean sheets all season. So both teams to score does look like it is a very logical pick right here. My first selection for the bet builder is Alfie Doherty to be carded. It's Ryan's card pick of the week. Justin, I've decided to make a jingle. And that was the jingle that I'm going to be doing every single week now. You're welcome.
Every single week? Wow.
Every single week. I will be honest, I was struggling for a card pick in this game initially, mainly because the referee for this game is a guy called Thomas Bramall. He's only officiated 2 games so far this season. Don't know why, but it's a bit odd, and it doesn't help too much with being able to do much research on his past games. But I then spotted something, Justin, and it's all based around the Hull captain, Louis Coyle, because only Willie Gnonto and Romain Essa have been fouled more times than him this season. And the curious thing I spotted is that in the last 4 Hull games, the opposition left-back has been carded in 3 of them. And I think it's Alfie Doherty who'll be playing at left wing-back here. He did miss Luton's last game through injury, but it sounds like he should be back for this one. It is worth checking the lineups, though, before including this in your bet builder. But that's my logic behind this one, Justin. Are you happy with that?
I am. Firstly, Thomas Bramall, I swear you make up these names because I'm not going to check them afterwards. I don't think any fan will go, "Ooh, is the ref actually so-and-so?" So fair enough if you are making up these names and just getting away with it each week. But also Louis Coyle, one of the most foul players in the league. That's an incredible revelation.
It's not a surprise to me. It's not a surprise to me. You know, he's one of those who I think for a good few seasons now, he is just a very fouled guy, which you wouldn't have guessed too much from looking at him, but it is the case, surprisingly.
Is it one of those Chris Gunter type fouls where, he really plays up to, he pushes himself into the opposition and then goes over and then gets the foul?
Might be more like Luke Ayling, where he's twerking on the opposition player and then falls on his face. Might be one of them. But keep in mind, the fresh legs promotion as well, by the way, ladies and gents, on this. So even if Alfie Doherty gets subbed off after 1 minute, with SBK, our selection rolls over onto whoever replaces him. So we're still in the game. That's the big thing here, Justin. What's our next selection?
Gone with Luton to have under 14.5 shots. Now, under 14.5 shots does seem a lot, but Luton do average just over 11.5 shots per game themselves. They're at home, and then there's also the potential for renewed vigour after Rob Edwards wasn't sacked during the international break. I do say that in the complete sense that Rob Edwards has dodged a bullet and he's gone, wow, I've got a new lease of life now. A bit like, if it's winter and Christmas theme now, It's a Wonderful Life, where they goes through all of that. So this is the football equivalent. Rob Edwards has dodged a bullet, and now he's got a new lease of life. So he might allow Luton to unleash themselves, which is what makes this bet builder an interesting pick.
If they're unleashing themselves, why would it be under 14.5 shots?
Carries the risk.
Well, if that logic makes any sense, ladies and gents, then there you go. I'll give the numbers to properly back this one up, because Luton have only had more than 14.5 shots in one of their last 8 games. Hull haven't faced more than 14.5 shots in any of their last 6 games. And despite Hull's form being pretty shocking recently, they haven't been giving away many chances. As we said earlier, still conceding goals because they've only kept 1 clean sheet all season. But I wouldn't expect Luton to be flushed for chances in this one. And you can get pretty good odds on this selection. So I definitely recommend this pick if you are making a bet builder for this game. And the final selection for our bet builder is Luton Town to win. Let's be honest. I mean, convincingly backing either team in this one is a difficult thing to do given recent form for the pair of them. But we have got to remember Luton have had some good performances at Kenilworth Road recently. They beat a Cardiff side who were unbeaten in 6 up until that point. They drew with West Brom. They were very unlucky in their loss to Sunderland, really unlucky actually in that one. And then they thumped big rivals Watford 3-0. So despite Luton not being in great shakes right now, they have had a bit of form at Kenilworth Road in terms of their recent showings. And considering they're facing a Hull side who are so out of form, they have to be looking at this and thinking, we can win this one, Justin.
Well, that's it, isn't it? I mean, both sides. I mean, Luton, yeah, they can win a game, lose a game, win a game, lose a game. A bit like Hull, really, at times. But I think with Luton, despite that 5-1 defeat, and as I was saying in terms of Rob Edwards and that renewed vigour behind the team, that could give the team a new lease of life, and I think that's going to be an important factor. I think that it's going to need to be a fast start, because I think the longer the game sort of stays 0-0, very cliched, but I think the nerves will grow into that Luton team and probably allow Hull to grow, because I don't think there's as much pressure on Hull in this one than there is Luton, despite either team potentially falling into the bottom 3 should they lose. But I think with Luton, there's that desperation that they need to win. There's going to be the need for a fast start. And they, as you say, they have to be winning this one.
They really have to be winning this one, because if they don't, then Rob Edwards is... I mean, how much longer can he last if they don't win this one? Let's be honest. So you're looking at Luton putting in a good performance here, getting a good result, and just piling the pressure even more onto Dim Folter, because, as we say, Luton have to be winning this one. And so, our bet builder for Luton v Hull City in El Sackico is this. Both teams to score. Alfie Doherty to be carded. Luton under 14.5 shots, and Luton Town to win. And the £10 stake on that returns £260. A chunky £260, Justin. But remember, if you don't fancy our bet builder with SBK, you can create your own bet builder from a range of markets. And this week, SBK are also offering a 25% boost on any bet builder for the Friday night kickoff between Plymouth Argyle and Watford. So make sure you stick with them for that one. T's and C's apply, over 18s only. And please do gamble responsibly. Justin, let's take a quick break. After that, we'll make some more predictions ahead of the weekend. Welcome back to the Second Tier podcast. This is, of course, the preview show brought to you by SBK. So it's time for us to have a look ahead to the weekend. And in each preview episode of the Second Tier, Justin and I will each pick a banker, a team we think is guaranteed to win this coming weekend, as well as an outsider. So someone we think is going to win, but is bigger odds with our friends at SBK than their opponent. And we're tracking how we do as the season goes on. It's 1 point for a correct banker, 2 points for an outsider. Whoever loses has to do a forfeit, which is to be a mascot at an EFL game next season, wearing skimpy little shorts and everything. The current scores are 16-10 to Justin Peach. It's a case of 1 step forward, 2 steps back for me. I got a full house 3 weeks ago when Justin blanked, and then last time out, I blanked and Justin got a full house. So bloody annoying, although... having a look at your picks this week, Justin, I wouldn't be surprised if there's another full house and blank scenario.
Can you hear that?
I hear what? Go on.
The winds of change, Ryan. The winds of change. They're coming. Your tyranny is almost over. My picks don't mean a thing. I've got this. I'm confident now. It's blooming. Yeah, that's why I'm giving you smash talk. That's not the right way of saying
Smack
it.
talk.
Smack
is
talk.
What you're looking for, I think.
I'm saying it the English way is smash talk.
Okay, fine.
Look at you.
Yeah.
Your confidence is, look at you. I can just hear it in your voice, the somberness.
I mean, your smack talk there was so unconvincingly delivered that I'm not sure you should be talking about confidence right now, Justin. But yeah, it is annoying that I'm 6 points behind. I did think I was clawing it back last week, and then everything really went wrong. But let's see how we get on this weekend then, shall we? Justin Peach, kick us off. What is your banker for the weekend?
I've gone with Blackburn to win at home to Portsmouth on Saturday afternoon. Blackburn did hit a bit of a bump form-wise before the international break, but they turned into the Barcelona team from 2009 against Cardiff. They were sensational just before the international break. And I felt there was a lot of balance in their play in that game as well. They're brilliantly composed with the ball, as displayed by one of the best team goals you probably have this season. Defensively very organised and in shape when they needed to be. It was so well balanced. And when you factor in the notion that Portsmouth have collected just 6 points on the road this season, includes just one win. Blackburn have also lost back-to-back games at Ewood Park, which you might think, oh no, they might lose another one. Bad form at home. No. They boast a strong home record before that, 6th best in the league, and they're going to want to get back to winning ways. So I'm going with Blackburn to beat Portsmouth on Saturday lunchtime. Yeah,
Justin Peach and his Portsmouth agenda continues, ladies and gentlemen. He's not even trying to hide it at this point. I will be honest. When I saw this selection put into the WhatsApp chat, I was surprised because I'm not totally sure about this as a banker. Justin, Portsmouth looked very good against Preston, something you neglected to mention just then, and I think they have been a bit unlucky in the last few games. Plus, Corby Bishop is back as well, which is massive, Justin. That genuinely might be the biggest boost any club currently in the Championship could have realistically got.
The guy had major surgery back in the summer, so to say he's back is one thing. Is he going to be at 100%? I don't think he will be. If he is, then great. That's a good thing for Portsmouth. But I don't think one player is going to make up the massive gap in, I think, both managerial experience between John Eustace and John Mousinho, but also quality of these teams as well. We've seen Blackburn turn it on when they need to turn it on, as we saw against Cardiff. And I don't think one win against Preston for Portsmouth is enough to convince me that they're going to go up to Blackburn, a difficult place to go, Ewood Park, and go and get a win or a result. So for me, Blackburn at Ewood Park, wanting to get back to winning ways, it's a banker.
Not sure. It'll be interesting to see if Corby Bishop does start this game, because I don't know what the usual procedure is for someone who has just had open heart surgery. Because it's not something we come across very often, Justin, but it's good to see him back playing football. Obviously, he's not had much game time recently, with that being his first appearance last time out. So, whether it'll be just something off the bench or whether he actually does start a game this soon will be interesting to see. But good to see him back. We can both agree on that, Justin. Let's go to my banker this weekend. I've gone with Middlesbrough to win away at Oxford on Saturday afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, Middlesbrough are looking like a frightening side right now. The international break probably came at a bad time for them because they had just got back-to-back wins, scoring 9 in total in those 2 games, by the way. But let's be honest, Oxford are a pretty good team to have next up after that break when you want to get things back underway, because the weapons in Middlesbrough's arsenal are really clicking all at once. You've got Emmanuel Latelath firing again. Finn Azaz has got 6 goal contributions in his last 5 games, which is an insane tally, isn't it? And Ben Doak, Justin. Oh, Ben Doak. Someone we've been talking about non-stop in recent times, but his stock has rocketed over the international break after he tore Jasko Gvardiol a new one for Scotland the other day. I genuinely don't think there's been a more talked about teenager in world football than him over the past week. It's been insane how much coverage he's been getting, but rightly so as well. And I've not even mentioned Tommy Conway, Riley McGree, Delano Bergzorg, who have all found the back of the net in the last couple of games as well for Middlesbrough. And poor Oxford will be quaking in their boots at having to deal with this Borough team, especially when they're a side well out of form right now. It's just 1 win in 10 for them. They've only kept 2 clean sheets in that time and would have conceded more if it wasn't for Jamie Cumming in goal, who's been in sublime form, but he'll do well to stave off the barrage of Borough attacks in this one, because simply put, Borough are a class above Oxford, so that's my banker for the weekend. And judging from the fixtures, I think it's the obvious choice for me, Justin.
It probably is the obvious choice in terms of quality of these two teams and the difference in budgets and quality of player at disposal. But have you not learned anything? Have you not learned a thing, Ryan?
Justin, just because you have had terrible luck with backing Middlesbrough so far this season doesn't mean I have. I don't think I've backed them once this season, but I know you've not had the greatest of times with them.
Yeah, backed them 3 times, and they've fucked me over 3 times. Actually, to be honest with you, and
it will be the ultimate fucking over if they come through for me now, won't it?
If they do, I'm going to block Middlesbrough's official Twitter account on Twitter /X and on Blue Sky as well.
Blue Sky, Instagram,
yeah,
Bebo.
I will not have
MySpace.
them in my life. Yeah, I will not have them in my life. But
Pinterest,
like I said, this is the arrogance of
Tumblr.
a man. Tumblr. I don't even know what that is. Age. This is the arrogance of a man who's just not learning lessons. And again, yeah, you're expecting a bit of it almost sounds like a spanking here. Oxford have got the 8th best home record in the Championship. They've lost just 1 game at home this season, conceded just 5 goals at the Kassam. That 3-sided beauty that it is. So again, you're throwing your weight behind a team. Borough are a good side, but again, you're not considering how difficult of a game this could be for Borough and how much they can fuck you over as well.
I'm not sure about that. I think Middlesbrough, I've just been so impressed with them, particularly in the last couple of games. And the games where they haven't won, I think there's a fair bit that's there's been a bit unlucky, unfortunate in their way, really. So yeah, Middlesbrough should be looking at this as a must win for this weekend. Threads, Justin, you can block them on Threads as well. Everyone seems to have forgotten about Threads now, haven't they? Because Blue Sky has taken over.
Yeah, I could block them on Threads. I'm just going to remove them from my life. And if we start talking about them, I'll let you take that segment and I will just hang back.
That's fine. I'll just talk about Ben Doak for a whole hour because that's basically what we're doing at the moment anyway. So there are mine and Justin's 2 bankers for this weekend. And every week we combine these 2 selections with a bet on the full-time result of our game of the weekend to create our very own second tier featured multiple with SBK. We've had pretty decent form with these so far this season. Let's see if that continues this weekend with Blackburn, Middlesbrough and Luton all to win. And this weekend, SBK are offering a 20% ACCA boost for the Championship. So a £10 bet on our multiple returns £60. With SBK, you can create your own multiple with 3 more bets on the full-time result of any game from across the Championship. And for any ACCA with a minimum of 3 selections, you'll get a 20% boost. Pretty decent, isn't it? That offer expires at 3 p.m. on a Saturday. T's and C's apply, over 18s only, and please do gamble responsibly. It's outsider time here on the second tier preview show, ladies and gents. It's that time of week again. This is where the big points are won. So, Justin, let's see what you're going for.
I've gone with Bristol City to win at home to Burnley on Saturday lunchtime. This is a risk, but that's why it's an outsider. I can see Bristol City dominating this game.
You say that every single week. Every time we do an outsider, you start it with, this is a risk. And that's kind of what an outsider is, Justin. We don't need reminding.
This is a risk. That's why it's an outsider. All right. If you didn't get the original point before Ryan rudely interrupted. As I say, I think I can see Bristol City dominating this game, dominating the chances as well. I think that's very obvious with Parker Ball. But Burnley do have this habit of hanging into games, of nullifying opposition, doing a good job of it, but keeping themselves in the game, and then scoring against a run of play at times. They are very good at that. They pop up when you least expect it sometimes. Bristol City have been in good form generally, haven't they? They've been in very good form generally. They've been a difficult side to beat. Anis Mehmeti has found form. Max Bird is really found his feet once again in the Championship. Jason Knight is a leader amongst men. Defensively, there is problems, in terms of personnel availability. There's a lot of injuries at the back, but I don't think that's going to impact things too much, mainly because Burnley will just pass it side to side. Don't think they've got too much penetration in them to really worry Bristol City. And that's why I think Bristol City could edge this game. But as I say, I think the longer the game goes on, it's going to be one of those games where Burnley will grow in confidence. But for me, if Bristol City take their chance, they will win this relatively comfortably.
I'm not sure about relatively comfortably. I think
it's purely down to Burnley's inability to ask the relevant questions in a game. They do not do it. That's why I think
of course not. I'm definitely not going to disagree with you on that just now. I just think relatively comfortably. I think going back to what you were saying about Bristol City dominating it as well, I'm not sure about that, just because Burnley, you can already pan out how this game is going to go. Burnley will just have a lot of the ball and struggle to do much with it. I think Bristol City probably will have the better chances in the game, because that's just what we've seen a lot with Burnley recently. So that's how I see this one going. I won't disagree with you, because any pick that opposes Burnley, I will never disagree with, because we've covered that a lot recently. It's hard to ever be convinced about them, especially in a game like this. So Bristol City will certainly fancy their chances. They have been dealt a big blow, though, Justin, because Joe Williams is set to be out for months with an Achilles injury. And he is a big player for them, isn't he?
It is a big blow. He carries, not only does he carry experience, but he's got a uniqueness within that squad, considering I think he's probably the only player in the team that is as competitive, combative as him, I should say. I think what compounds it is how good he has been this season, because I think this has probably been the first really convincing season that I've seen from him. So for him to get injured at this point is devastating, because he has had injury problems in the past. But he's been very important in the games against Cardiff, for example, Middlesbrough and Stoke. Bristol City have played well without him. They played well against Sheffield United before that late defeat, and they won it away at Norwich without him as well. So whilst it is a big blow, they have shown that they can cope without him. And I think that's a big thing.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, because he is a very important player for them. And let's go to my outsider for this weekend. It's Sheffield United to win away at Coventry on Saturday lunchtime. Coventry City, of course, still deciding on who their new manager is going to be, with Frank Lampard waiting in the wings. Please don't do it, Coventry. But in the meantime, it's Reece Carr who will once again be in charge for this one. In his only game so far, Coventry managed to come back from 2 goals down to draw away at Sunderland, which is pretty good going, in fairness, isn't it? This is a very tricky game, though. I mean, Sunderland was a tricky game as well, but this is also a very tricky game, because Sheffield United are proving to be the real deal. They're coming off the back of 4 wins on the bounce, only 1 goal conceded in that time. They have been very impressive during this run, getting a variety of wins in that time. And if it wasn't for that 2-point deduction, we'll be top of the league right now. Rightly so as well, I think it's got to be said. So they'll be backing themselves to get another 3 points here against the Coventry side, who we all know haven't been informed, hence why Mark Robins lost his job. But they're also currently in limbo, with them waiting to find out who their new manager is going to be. So that's why I'm going with a Sheffield United win this weekend.
Yeah, I did double check this one. I wasn't convinced when you said this that Sheffield United were the outsider, but they are, which is incredible considering how good Sheffield United are, and the relative discontent that Coventry find themselves in without a Mark Robins. But like Doug King said, maybe Robins being sacked could be the shot in the arm the club maybe needs. We saw a very resurgent second half against Sunderland that could play into this game as well, and be a very difficult one for Sheffield United, but very hard to make a case against the players at the moment. They have been sensational.
They truly have. They really, really have. It was interesting to see Curtis Davis talking about Frank Lampard's potential appointment at Coventry, Justin. He said the players would listen to him. I fucking hope so. He's the manager.
The players would listen to him. Good. So at least
that's the kind of punditry we get nowadays. I mean, I was complimenting Curtis Davis the other day for being a good pundit, but when you see stuff like that, you're like, well, of course he would. Why wouldn't they? Right, now it's time for this.
All right. Settle down, you lot. It's time for the Craig Bryson pub quiz.
Yes, it is, Mr. Barman. It's the Craig Bryson pub quiz, and this is how it works. So I'm going to give Justin 6 clues about a Championship player, past or present, each more revealing than the next. And he simply have to guess who it is. They must have made over 200 Championship appearances in their career, and don't forget, the Dexter Blackstock rule is in play. Justin, are you ready for this?
Oh, yeah, go on then.
Your first clue is this. I have 203 Championship appearances to my name, scoring 13 goals.
He snuck in there.
Just.
203, 13 goals. That's a centre-back if I ever heard one. Chris Morgan.
It's a bloody high-scoring centre-back, isn't it?
No, it's what?
I don't know.
Let me do the maths. Give me 10 minutes.
About 1 in 20.
Yeah.
One
If
in
he's played
20?
under Mick McCarthy.
Yeah.
If he's played under Mick McCarthy.
We'll get to that in a second. Your first clue was that. This is your second clue. At 5'4", I'm one of the smallest players in Championship history.
Centre back.
Short king. He's a short king, Justin.
I'm trying to think of 5'4" centre halves now. 5'4". This should be easy. How many 5'4" inch players have there been in the Championship? He can't be a striker. Well, he can't be. What a shit striker he'd be. 13 goals in 203 games. Could be a fullback. I'm looking at the height now, but I'm going to go with a winger. So I'm going to go with Jamal Campbell-Rice.
Jamal Campbell-Rice is not correct, but it's good to hear him mentioned. You're just going to be thinking about that throughout this whole thing now, aren't you? 5'4". At Championship level, I've played for 4 clubs. Southampton on a permanent basis, loan spells at Burnley and Sheffield United, but I made the vast majority of my appearances for another club.
Nathan Dyer.
He's bloody nailed it, ladies and gentlemen. It is Nathan Dyer. Well done. Maybe I went too early with the 5'4" thing.
I think you did.
That's a shame. That's a shame, but it is Nathan Dyer, one of the smallest players in Championship history. Justin, would you like some more clues?
Yeah, he's got an interesting background.
Yep. I've also made 175 appearances in the Premier League.
Mm-hmm. Well, the Swans.
Yep, absolutely. And another club, because amongst my trophy cabinet is a League Cup winners' medal and a Premier League winners' medal.
Yeah.
It's always strange because whenever I have seen the video of Wes Morgan lifting up the Premier League trophy, Nathan Dyer is right at the front of that. Obviously, because he's 5'4", you can't have him at the back. But he didn't play that much that season, but he did play enough to obviously get a Premier League winners' medal. And fair play to him, Justin.
What a beautiful story. What a wonderful story he is.
It really is. And, of course, I've made 439 appearances throughout my career. 347 of them were for Swansea City, Justin. Nathan Dyer.
Yeah, it's a name I forget very often. And Dexter Blackstockrell might well be enforced with this one, but...
Piss off. He's got a Premier League winners' medal to his name, you div.
Not a Championship
He's
winners'
got
medal,
175 Premier League appearances. That's an outrageous thing for you to say, Justin. How dare you?
Cannot recall a thing he did in the Championship, though, can you?
Hey, he's one of the smallest players in Championship history.
There we go.
And what I'm talking about here is something else I wanted to bring up, because I think he's one of those who is often unfairly forgotten about in that classic Swansea team, because he played a lot in the glory years at Swansea, but people like you denounce him.
No. A cult favourite at Premier League level. Championship, we can do better.
203 appearances, mate. 203 bloody appearances. While we're on the subject of small players, I was trying to find who is the smallest player in Championship history. Do you remember someone called Erhan Ozturma, Justin?
Yes, I do.
He's mainly known for Charlton.
He's a central midfielder. Elegant.
Yes.
Very good technique.
Centre mid. He was 5'3". I couldn't find anyone else who was as small as him, but I mean, 5'3" is. Yeah, I mean, one thing I will say is you've got to be a bloody good player to still make it as a professional when you're that small, haven't you?
Yeah, when you're 7, 8, 9 inches smaller than everybody else. Yeah, you've got to be good. I think if you can even get to a professional level at that height, you've done a good job.
Hey,
Tony Pulis would be turning in his bed.
Right, this has been the Second Tier Preview Show brought to you by SBK, and we'll be back again on Sunday with the Weekend Show, where we'll be looking at all the action from across this Championship weekend. So we look forward to seeing you again for that. But this has been the Second Tier Podcast. I've been Ryan Dilks.
I've been Justin Peach.
And a big thank you for listening.